Hi, everyone. So today we have a very special guest with us, Christina Day. Christina is a long-time registered nurse turned health and wealth coach. She empowers stressed out busy moms and career-focused women who are ready to bring some much needed self-love into their daily life. So by focusing on improving their overall physical, mental, and financial wellness, by creating new habits in an easy, fun, and sustainable way. So, Christina, welcome so much, and thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled that you asked me to do this. I'm so excited.
So, Christina, I would just like get started by hearing your story. How did you get started on your self-love journey? So, what had you be so passionate about it?
Well, my whole journey started a few years back when I was going through a separation and then a divorce. Throughout my marriage, my ex-husband took care of all the finances. I thought he knew what he was doing. He had all these like fancy Excel sheets and he made it look good, but I learned that he actually didn't know what he was doing. He got us into a lot of debt. So that's how I got onto the financial aspect of my coaching. I had to learn everything from scratch. I had to start over. I managed to get myself out of debt, and then start saving, starting an emergency savings account and all that stuff. So that's why I'm passionate about helping women to learn about their finances. And then on the health aspect, I've been a long time registered nurse. I think I'm at 18 years now. So that kind of came naturally. But with COVID, working in an ER, I was getting burnt out. I was not taking care of myself. I was going to work full time, picking up overtime shifts, that sort of thing. Not eating as healthy as I should, not exercising. I just didn't have the time. And I realized that something really needed to change because that was not sustainable. So then I went on a path of self-improvement with that, a lot of learning, listening to a lot of podcasts, reading a lot of books. And then I got into a coaching program, which continued to, help me improve with my overall wellness and all that. And then that's how I got into coaching.
Awesome. That's such a powerful story, Christina. It's very inspiring. So can you define what self-love means to you and why it's important in our overall well-being?
Oh my goodness. So self-love as a concept, it encompasses a deep sense of appreciation, of acceptance and care for oneself. It involves recognizing one's worth, valuing personal needs and desires, treating oneself with kindness, compassion, and respect, embracing both strengths and weaknesses, and also forgiving ourselves for past mistakes and nurturing personal growth and development in all areas of our lives. So why is this important? So many reasons: for our mental, emotional well-being, for setting healthy boundaries, for our physical well-being, personal growth and fulfillment. Like all those things are so, so important for self-love, and even for like healthy relationships too.
Yeah, it's like an overall concept. It's not just like one thing that you do in a day. It's like it affects every aspect of your life.
Exactly.
Yes. So many people struggle with practicing self-love. What are some practical steps or strategies individuals can take to cultivate self-love in their lives?
So there's a lot of things, and this is obviously very individualized, and it's whatever works for each person. But in general, practice self-care. Make that a priority in your everyday life, even if it's 5 minutes at a time. And there's other things like challenging self-talk or negative self-talk, setting boundaries, surrounding yourself with positive influences, because when you're surrounded by people that are always negative around you, then you're going to feel that. But if you're surrounded by people that are a positive influence in your life, then they'll like share that energy with you, and you'll be, more positive. Practice forgiveness, especially forgiveness of yourself, and then celebrate your strengths and accomplishments.
Yeah, what I hear you saying is it's not about like self-love is not a thing that we do. It's like who we are being in life and how we are treating ourselves and others around us, specifically how we're treating ourselves.
Yes, absolutely.
That's great. So, how does self-love relate to maintaining a healthy lifestyle? And are there any specific habits or practices that you recommend for promoting both physical and mental well-being?
So there's a few things that you can do. So like I mentioned, prioritizing your self-care, just making that a part of your daily routine. And you can start small. If you like journaling, just sit down and journal for 5 minutes first thing in the morning or before you go to bed. Maybe do a little bit of meditating. And this doesn't have to be anything formal. So you can meditate while you're driving in a car. You can do things like that. Just kind of add things into your daily routine without making it too difficult. Other things you can do is you can certainly nourish your body with healthy food choices. That's a big one. Like eating whole foods, vegetables, that sort of thing. Super, super important. Drinking lots of water. I always recommend that. That's really important. Moving your body regularly. You don't have to call it exercise. You don't have to go to the gym and make it into a 1 or 2 hour ordeal. Especially as a busy mom, you might not have time for that. Like I know I don't, but I try to do quick workouts at home. I use an app called Fit On. It's completely free. I have the full premium version, and I think it's like $45 a year, 45 US. So super affordable. If I have 10 minutes to work out, I'll throw on a 10-minute workout and I'll do that. Or I'll go for a walk with my son. Like there's so many things that you can do that doesn't involve a lot of time. Dance in the kitchen while you're cooking dinner, like little fun things like that. You don't have to make it difficult, but just keep moving. That's super important. What else? Practice mindfulness, stress management. Like I mentioned, meditation, deep breathing exercises, even something as small as you're sitting down for a meal. Takes a few deep breaths. It's so important for your digestion. I find a lot of people don't do that. We tend to eat on the go. We shove food down our mouth really quickly in between meetings or whatever. Just stop for 1 minute and take some deep breaths. I think that's it.
Those are so many different tips and strategies that you've just given, and also very simple. The simple things we can do every single day. It doesn't require a lot of extra scheduling. Self-love doesn't have to be certain scheduled time and thing. It can just be what we're doing on the go. So yeah, that's pretty amazing. Because a lot of people think if it's self-love, it's like a separate thing. I will do it when I'm free, or I'll do it when I have time. But it's what you do, how you do it, not just yeah. So are there any misconceptions or myths about self-love and healthy living that you know of, or that people usually think of?
I think people think that it would be really difficult, so they don't even start. So whether it's, wanting a healthier lifestyle or wanting to figure out their finances, but they have no idea where to start, and they just think it's going to be this big, huge thing. It's going to be overwhelming and they don't have the time for it. So they don't begin. But if you just take a small step, in the right direction. And then another small step next week or next month. And then just keep doing that. Eventually, all those small steps will add up, and then you'll get to where you want to be with your health, with your finances, with your like overall well-being in general. So don't make it difficult.
Yeah, I think when it comes to self-love, it seems like a really airy-fairy idea, like, oh yeah, this perfect world where there are butterflies and fairies and you
Yeah,
have self-love. And I love that you group finances and self-love, because a lot of our stress actually does come from finances and, how we manage our money. And
absolutely.
yeah, I love that you actually bring that into the idea of self-love, because self-love is not about like doing these out there things like going to a spa and having a
Which is great,
it's great when
right?
you can do it, but everyone doesn't have the time or money to go for 2-hour massages every week and stuff like that, right? But it's the real stuff that really, when it really comes down to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's all the small things that you do every single day.
Mm, yeah, yeah, it's beautiful. I think like more people really need to start thinking about self-love in like here and now, like things that I do every day. How can I bring more kindness and love to myself? And with finance, I love what you said about that, because it's like, well, with finances, how can you bring self-love? How can you really honor yourself, and what would really serve you in that
Exactly.
sense?
And just to touch on finances briefly. So just by creating a budget, I find that it's super, super important, because then you know exactly where your money's coming from, where it's going. And then you have that choice to make your money go somewhere else. So if you want to go to the spa once a month, because that's something that's really important to you, fit it into your budget. Or if you want to go on an extravagant vacation, you can make that work within your budget if you're intentional with it. So budgeting is like the first step in figuring all this stuff out, what you want to do. So, if you want to go to the gym for your health, but you don't think you can afford that, then let's look at other things that you can do instead of going to a gym. That could be really expensive, right? So that's important.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually really a really good point, because I can see how that would just take a lot of the stress and guesswork out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, awesome. Well, so out of all the different things, like if someone could just take one thing away from what you teach women, what would you give them? Like, what's your number one tip for someone that's just embarking on this beautiful self-care journey?
My number one tip is just to start small and just surround yourself with knowledge. So whether it's listening to podcasts, reading books, talking to people about whatever you want to work on. So if you want to work on your health, then listen to all the podcasts on health, because once you're surrounded with that, it's coming at you from like every angle, then you're going to live it. It's just going to be automatic. It's going to be super easy. You're like, hey, I'm going to drink a ton of water this week because I heard that on this podcast. Like, such an easy thing to implement, right? Or I was listening to your podcast actually this morning when I was driving back from my son's school about veganism. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I can do that for like one day a week, maybe, right? Like, I'm not going to turn into a vegan, but maybe I'll implement that. So it's such a small thing, but it's easy, right? And then just do what makes your soul happy. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Do what's right for you.
I think that's the most important thing, like, getting connected to yourself and valuing what's important to you rather than comparing and seeing what everybody is doing and then what you think you should be doing. Yeah.
Especially with our social media culture, like it's really easy to just keep comparing yourself with what others are doing. It's like you literally just have to click one button and open up the app, and there are like hundreds of people that are popping up with all these amazing lifestyle, demonstrations that are like bombarding us, that it can get a bit
wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, but just pick what works for you. Like, you can get ideas from all sorts of different places and you can learn all sorts of different things, but if it's not going to be right for you, then don't worry about it. Just do what works for you.
Okay, so where can our listeners find you and connect with you?
So you can find me on Instagram as Coach Christina Day, all one word. You can find me on my website, christinaday.ca. And I'm also on Facebook. I have a Facebook group called Thriving Babes Network, which is a group for women that want to focus on their health and finances. And it's just a very supportive environment for everyone to kind of hang out with and share their knowledge. And I also have a free virtual summit coming up on finances. That's June 5 to 7. Not sure when your podcast will air, but if it airs before that, then we'd love for your listeners and for you guys to sign up because it's completely free.
Oh, perfect. We'll make sure that we put that in the description of the podcast so that people can connect with you and also find that link too.
Awesome.
Well, awesome. Well, Christina, it has been an absolute pleasure having you here. I especially really love your energy, and I really get this sense of, that this acceptance that you bring, that's just really, really beautiful. It's just, I can just feel it that, however things are, however you are is great. And, you just bring acceptance to it all. And it's just such a beautiful space to be in. So thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for this conversation. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your kind words too. Oh my goodness.
All right.